Hello, journeyers. Welcome to day 2. Welcome to part 2 of Hello McFly, massive money momentum for your financial future. Welcome to every time, you guys. It's really annoying. But I'm so stoked that you guys are here. Today is going to be awesome. I'm going to give it just a second for some people to jump on, but I'm really, really excited for today because this is where we start to really ramp up that idea of momentum. This is where we really start to feel like you can actually accomplish things, which is the exciting part about everything. So let me just go share that we're live. Da-da-da. And when you are jumping on, say hello. Drop a hi or a heart or a fire emoji or whatever emoji you feel like down below when you are on. Ta-da. All righty. Awesome. Yay. All right, sorry about that, you guys. Technology didn't have it totally set up today, so I apologize for that. All right. So, hello McFly, massive momentum for your financial future, part 2. Speaking of part 2, I was thinking about Back to the Future. So here's the thing. Here's the reason why this workshop was Back to the Future themed. There is a widely accepted phenomenon in time travel that if you go back to the past and change one thing, and then go back to the present, back to where you came from, everything will be different. That tiny little thing that changed will literally change your entire world and your entire life, right? You think about in Back to the Future Part 1, Marty McFly goes back and he gets hit by the car instead of George, and suddenly his mom's in love with him and it's super creepy. But it erases his existence. His entire existence is erased, right? Because of that loop in the time continuum, right? So we widely accept this, that if we go back to the past and change anything, it massively changes the course of history. But for whatever reason, we find it very difficult to understand that small changes that we make now can make massive changes in our future. Massive changes. So if you're on and you're hanging out with us, please acknowledge and accept that small changes now make massive changes in the future, and that is the whole point of creating momentum. So when you are on, say hi, drop me an emoji, pick one. It's all up to you which emoji you decide on. But I want to see that you're here and engaging and hanging out with us. So first things first, yesterday was amazing. Part 1 was awesome. I am so proud of you guys for doing the work. I'm proud of you guys for thinking through those things. I'm proud of you guys for feeling into, hey Lisa, for feeling into what you're feeling about your money, right? And what's keeping you stuck. If you have not watched part 1 yet, that's okay. Hang out with me today for part 2, and then go back and watch the replay of part 1, because you're gonna need that information from part 1 added to today's part 2 when you get to part 3 tomorrow, so that you can really start creating an action plan for what you need for your money. So I just want to say, those who have posted their homework, those who have shared with me kind of what they've found, I'm so proud of you guys for being honest with yourselves and really starting to pick out, like, what is it that's keeping you stuck? What are you feeling about that? And what is the thing that you've identified as the thing that is keeping you from getting momentum in your money? So congratulations for that. Way to go. And I will say, if you started to try to come up with a plan based on what you found out yesterday, even though I told you not to, not surprised. It's okay. I'm really not surprised. But I want you to acknowledge that things that you have tried on your own in the past have clearly not worked, or you wouldn't be here, right? And so take a deep breath, Release everything you tried to come up with last night or this morning, right? Release it and start with a fresh perspective today on the things that I'm going to talk about today, because then we're going to take both pieces of information tomorrow and put them together. Okay. So if you already started to try to come up with a plan, just delete it. Delete it from your brain. Okay. There's no plans needed until tomorrow. Hey, Jesse. So one of the things that I find really interesting, and somebody actually posted this on Facebook a couple of days ago, was you have permission to stop listening to voices that are discouraging. I was like, that's genius, right? And so this is a big question I have for you. And those of you who are on, answer this question for me. And when you're on the replay, answer this question for me on replay. What voices do you listen to? Have you listened to in the past? Are you listening to now when it comes to your money? Who are you listening to? What voices are you listening to? What voices are in your head about your money? I know my clients would say my voice is in their head, which is perfect. It's perfect because my voice is encouraging. My voice tells them to do it, what works for them, right? But what voices have you been listening to? Who do you listen to about your money? Where do you go for money advice? Who do you call? What podcasts do you listen to? Go ahead and answer it in the comments. Grandparents, parents, husband, okay? So family, authority figures in your world, right? So who are you listening to? When you start looking things up, what voices are you listening to? So for me, for the longest time, it was Dave Ramsey. And every now and then it still is, right? But it occurred to me at some point that sometimes when I'm listening, it makes me cringe. Some of the things he says are legitimately cringeworthy, right? But it occurred to me that when you're listening to certain voices about your money, you have a right to stop and ask yourself how it makes you feel when you listen to them. Because there's a big difference between like tough love, where somebody's telling you the honest truth and it's just kind of hard to hear. And when somebody says something and you're like, ugh, I don't like that. I don't like that he said that. I don't like the way she's doing that with her money. I don't like the way she promotes that, right? Like there is a difference between someone who's just trying to encourage you and just telling you things that you may not want to hear, and a voice that actually discourages you. So the first thing I want to do today, when we start talking about how you are going to create traction and momentum in your money, is I'm giving you permission to stop listening to the voices that are discouraging. The ones who tell you that you have to do everything based on a checklist, A, B, C, that it has to be done in that order. And that if you don't do it in that order, then you're wrong and you don't care about your family, right? You might even have family members that tell you that if you don't give money away to the family members, then you're a horrible person, right? I know somebody posted just today that their family will judge every single money decision that they make. They'll say, I want to start eating organic. And they'll say, can you afford that, right? It's like, get off my back, right? I'm giving you permission to stop listening to the voices that are discouraging you about your money. Permission. Because as you start this journey, as you start to create momentum in your money, as you start to move closer and closer to financial freedom, those voices that are stuck in your head, they're going to get louder. And the ones that are already negative are going to get more negative. The voices that are already negative are only going to get more negative. Money, wealth, creating financial freedom, it amplifies what's already in us. That's why it's momentum, right? Because we create something and then it just grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. And so if you have negative voices stuck in your head, if you have a person that you listen to or watch that only makes you feel like shit about your money situation, you have my permission to stop listening to them. Just stop. Okay? So, is that okay with you guys? If you like that, if you're ready to stop, you can put stop in the comments, because you don't need to listen to the people who make you feel bad about your money choices, okay? I will never make you feel bad about your money choices. I will only make you think. I will only make you think about them. And as you think about your money choices, you get to decide how you feel, and you get to decide what you're going to do about how you feel, right? We talked about that yesterday. How you feel isn't wrong. What's going on, your feelings, you're allowed to feel them. It's what you do about it that matters, okay? So the next thing I want you to start thinking about before I go on to the next part is, what sorts of things have you tried when it comes to creating momentum in your money? Okay, so start thinking about that. Now I want to tell you about the moment that I realized I needed a different kind of momentum. I remember the day that we paid off my student loans. And you know, I've told this story this week. Got to that day, clicked the button, paid it off, and just kind of felt like, right? Like there was no momentum. There was no like, yes, what's next, right? All the momentum when we hit that zero stopped, which is not good, right? All the financial momentum stopped. Now, let me tell you what happened in the 6 months leading up to that. We got so caught up in Dave Ramsey. We got so caught up in the idea of debt payoff being the number one most important thing that you're doing in your entire life. Beans and rice, rice and beans, he says. He says you shouldn't see the inside of a restaurant unless you're working there, right? He'll say, my grandma says there's a great place to go when you're broke, to work, right? So this is Dave Ramsey's voice that's in my head saying, you should be going to work. You shouldn't be eating out. Beans and rice, rice and beans. Cut your lifestyle all the way down, right? And so that's what we did. Hi, Amy. So that's what we did. I didn't get my hair or nails done in that whole time. We didn't go out to eat, with the exception of the occasional fast food drive-through, right? Because it's relatively cheaper. We didn't go see movies. We didn't go on vacations. We did nothing but work and sit at home. And at the time, because the voice in our head said, this is how you get out of debt. This is how you create financial freedom. We thought, okay, this is going to be worth it. We can do this, right? So fast forward to the day we pay off my loan, and all I felt was, ugh. That's all I felt. And I looked at my husband and I was like, can we just take a break? Like, can we just take a break? Can we like do something fun? Can we do something we like for once, right? Y'all, we bought a dog, a very expensive purebred dog. We went on a trip. We bought a couch. We bought a house. Let's just say the break that we took was 6 months long and ended up involving $14,000 in new consumer debt. So not only did we stop the momentum going forward, but we went backwards. Why? Because the voice we were listening to was not really taking us in the right direction for the kind of momentum that we really needed to be able to move forward in our financial journey. What we realized was we didn't just need financial momentum. Y'all, we were both working full-time. We were a dual income household living on basically his income. So we were putting $2,000-$3,000 a month towards the debt. We had financial momentum. The money was moving. The debt was moving. We had the money to pay for things. Wasn't the issue. We ended up going backwards because we had no emotional momentum. We were not emotionally connected to our process. We were not emotionally connected to the journey. We had to create emotional momentum. We had to shift our process. We had to shift the voices we were listening to in our head and decide what felt good for us and create emotional momentum. So what did we do? We stopped putting $3,000 a month towards the debt, and we started putting about $1,500 to $2,000 a month towards the debt. And the other $1,000 to $1,500, we did fun things. We did whatever we wanted. We did whatever we wanted. We did stop using credit. Like I said yesterday, we discovered that we thought we were paying off a credit card and we were not. We were gaming the system. Didn't work, right? We stopped using debt. We started paying it off, but we also gave ourselves margin. We gave ourselves the room to enjoy our lives. And I understand you're probably watching this going, well, I don't have an extra $2,000 a month. Maybe that's not where you need the room, right? Momentum is different for everybody, but there are going to be things that if you can find the thing that is sticking you and the type of momentum that you need and bring those together to create a plan, to create a new plan, that's what you want to do, that feels good to you, that gets you excited to take that step and take the next step and take the next step. That's what's going to create momentum. Not listening to this voice that says you must do it this way, right? Not only focusing on one kind of momentum. So let's talk about the kinds of momentum. I would love to hear from you in the chat. I've mentioned financial momentum and emotional momentum. What other kinds of momentum do you think that there is? What other kinds of things can we focus on that would help us create momentum in our finances? What do you think? Drop some ideas below. I want to see what you guys think. Aisha says it's so important to have fun during the process. Exactly. Because just like any other process, if you're not enjoying it and it doesn't feel good to you, you're not going to want to keep going, right? Like it has to be fun. I always say I like to make money fun because no one else does. Right? So what do y'all think? Hit me with your ideas. What other kinds of momentum could we create? So while you guys are thinking, I'm going to give you some examples. So financial momentum. Financial momentum is what you get when the dollars start actually moving in the direction you want them to move. That's it. That's financial momentum. So maybe you pay off a debt, or you save a certain amount of money, or maybe you save up to buy something that you want, right? But it's something that has to do with the dollars actually moving in the direction that you want them to. That's financial momentum. And it can be hard when you don't have financial momentum because you're not seeing the actual numbers moving. You're not seeing the wins in the process, right? You're not seeing what the wins that you're trying to get, right? So it's financial momentum. Reshma guessed body momentum. Ooh, good guess. Good guess. So so that's financial momentum. Second is emotional. I've kind of explained that. That's where we were at. We needed the emotional connection to the process. We needed to have fun with the process. But another example of emotional momentum would be there might be a financial goal or a debt or something that you've got that you want to accomplish that has a really strong emotional tie for you. So a good example might be that you have a medical bill from a really scary time. And like every time you go back to pay that bill, every time you make a payment on it, it just reminds you of it, right? And you just like don't want to have to think about that anymore because it's so emotional, right? Like, okay, getting rid of that and not having to pay that anymore, that's going to give you emotional momentum because it's something you don't have to deal with those emotions anymore. Or maybe emotionally, there's a certain credit card that like is something you feel really guilty about. And listen, there's no guilt or shame here, right? From me, but maybe that's part of your world. And so you need the emotional freedom of being done with that, right? So emotional momentum is what happens when our emotions start to increase in their positivity with the process, right? That we actually enjoy the process, where we don't go, oh, I hate this. Because if you go, I hate this the whole time, you're not going to want to keep going, right? Why would you want to keep going if you hate it, right? So that's emotional momentum. The third type, Reshma hit it, is physical momentum. So she said, when we include our body, things start moving. So with physical momentum, this is kind of a unique thing to think about when it comes to your financial journey. But there's there's a couple different ways. One is think about physically how you feel and how that's keeping you from doing the things you want to do. right? And so prioritize yourself physically. Sometimes that involves having to pay for a gym membership or something along those lines, right? Maybe buy organic foods. That's going to make you feel better emotionally and long term too, right? But also there's some physical things that we can do physically with our money that will help you gain momentum with it. One of them is cut up your freaking credit cards. Everyone's like, oh, I don't use it, but like I still have it. Just cut it up and be done with it and close the damn account, right? If you don't want to use it anymore. Right? Cut it up and be done with it. But not only cut it up and be done with it, but like the physical action of cutting up your credit card when you're finally free from that, it's awesome. I've done it. It's fun. And you get to like we call it a plastectomy, right? We're like, yeah, cutting up all the plastic, cut up the cards, right? That's one way. But also use cash. Use cash, because when you get a little envelope and you put cash in it, and that's your grocery envelope, and you go to the grocery store and you have $100 in your grocery envelope, you're not going to be going around and just throw in bags of chips and Cheetos and whatever. You're not going to just be grabbing whatever snacks and cookies that you want. You're going to be intentional because you only have $100, right? And so when you go to pull that cash out, there is a physical connection. There is a physical, emotional, mental connection that happens when you hand somebody your money, because guess what they don't do? They don't give it back, right? Whereas when you give them your card, they just give you your card right back and you leave with your card and your groceries, right? But if you give them cash, they take it and it's gone. And then you take your groceries, right? And so that actual exchange of energy physically really does make a difference in how you perceive your money. And when you start to perceive your money in a way where you understand that it's an energy exchange, right? Where I'm exchanging my money for something in return, then you start to respect it more, because money is energy and you have to respect it. That doesn't mean you don't ever get to spend it, but you have to say, I respect you. Is this something valuable and worth spending you on? Okay, yes, I'm willing to hand it over. And it changes the way that you perceive your money. It really does. So using cash is a physical way that you can start to get momentum and really connect with what's going on with your money. The last one is mental momentum. Okay. Mental momentum usually comes in the form of getting a strategy, getting organized. If you're super cluttered and organized and you have no idea where any of your transactions are going, if you have no idea what's going on with your money, I have one client that has, oh my gosh, we just added her into the budgeting software, and I think 19 different accounts between credit cards, checking accounts, savings accounts, PayPal accounts, 19 different accounts that she has to track. And so one of her number one goals is to start getting that down, consolidate where things are spent out of, stop having to move money around so many times, stop having to look at 19 different accounts just to know where all your money is. Because mentally, psychologically, cognitively, that will jack you up. It will make you think that that financial process is too complicated. It will make you think that it's too hard, right? And so mental momentum might look like organizing and decluttering your finances. And then you can like think straight. And you actually think clearly when you look at your finances, right? Having less accounts to look at. And sometimes paying something off and closing it. One less account to look at, one less bill to pay, one less thing to think about, right? And so getting some of that mental momentum can clear out some space for you to start to actually enjoy the process, right? Who wants to enjoy the process? Like, I said, I like to make money fun. If you want money to be fun too, drop fun, or like the little, the little party emoji with like the party hat and the woo, drop that one. I like that one, right? If you want to have fun with money, if you want to enjoy the process and still get where you're trying to go, then you need to get some momentum. So I asked you to start thinking about the kinds of things that you have tried when it comes to improving your money situation. So I want you to think now again, what kinds of things have you tried in the past to handle your money situation? Okay. Lisa, I want to have all the fun with money. Exactly. money gets to be fun. It does. It does. And you know what? You can manage your money well and still have fun with it. You get to do both, right? So think about this before. You've felt stuck with your money. You're ready to get momentum. So what kinds of things have you tried in the past that haven't really worked? Now you can share them in the comments if you want. I'm really big on like, I want you to be vulnerable and open with yourself at the very, very least, but you don't have to share with the whole world, okay? But I want you to think about this. What kinds of things have you tried? Once you come up with that list, 1 or 2 things or 5 or 7 things, right? Depending. I want you to think about what category that goes into. Was it physical? Was it mental? Was it emotional? Was it financial? What kinds of things have you done in the past to get momentum with your money? And then tell me in the comments which categories of momentum you have tried in the past. Trying financial momentum might be paying something off and then still feeling like shit afterwards if you did it and it didn't work, right? So what kinds of momentum? So you've tried profit first, but couldn't go beyond 10 days. Girl, I don't blame you. That system, it's beneficial because it gets you thinking about profits first, which is great, but it is super complicated, especially for newer business owners. And so that was like mental thing that you were trying to create, right? So what kinds of things have you tried and what categories were they in? Physical, financial, emotional, or mental? Or maybe something completely different that you've tried that didn't really seem to work, right? Oh, Rashma said, I give up all the time when I go, I hate this. Yes, I don't want you to hate it anymore. I don't want you to hate it anymore. It's fun. It's really fun. I promise. So once you have a list of the things that you've tried and what type of momentum they are, I want you to examine and see what is not on that list. I also gave up my favorite things to eat. I don't think I went beyond a few hours. You sound like me. Oh shit. Yeah, no, I don't do that. I don't give up my favorite foods. I can't do it. And somebody tell me you need to give up coffee and red meat. And I was like, bye. Nope. Not sustainable, right? Not sustainable. We have to do what works. So of the 4 I've mentioned, and if you can think of a different type of momentum, sure, let me know. But of the 4 I've mentioned, physical, financial, emotional, and mental momentum, which one is not on your list of the things that you've tried? Which one is on? Yes. Girl, restriction is never the answer, ever, unless you choose it consciously and love it and are connected to it, right? Right? Restriction can be the answer if you choose it, but not because somebody else told you you had to, for sure. So once you know which type of momentum is not on your list, okay, then you can start thinking about what momentum you might need. Because if you've tried to just pay down debts and see what happens, but you left out the emotional momentum, then emotional might be what you need. I'm telling you. I'm not gonna get upset. Okay. If you have focused for forever on money mindset, if you've thought, if I can just think better thoughts about money, if I can just feel good about money, if I can just have a better mindset about money, then the finances will work themselves out, right? If you have done all of this mindset work, which is really, I mean, it's partially emotional, but really it's mental, right? How you think about money changes how you will act about it, right? If you've done all this mindset work and you still are in a crappy place, is it possible that what you need is not mindset work, but a strategy? Is it possible that what you really need to gain that financial momentum is to actually start implementing strategies to get financial wins, right? Where you're like, oh, I actually paid something off. Oh, I freed up, let's say you have a credit card that has $100 minimum payment. You get that bad boy paid off, you just freed up $100 a month. Whoop, that's financial momentum, right? Because now you have an extra $100 a month you can play with, right? It's financial momentum. So a lot of times people will look at this, and the same thing the other direction. I've had people say, I just need to get on a budget. I had one client, I just need to stop spending. If I just stop spending entirely, like, okay, like, first of all, that doesn't work. You have to spend money, right? But we get so focused on one type of momentum. We get so focused on one strategy, on one mindset work, on one thing that we think is going to fix it. And it almost never does, right? It almost never does, not just the one thing. And so what I want you to really explore, and this is going to be your homework, is once you find out which type of momentum you left out, I want you to think, so let's say Reshma said I left out emotional momentum. So think, if I enjoyed this process, if I could do the financial things, do the steps I've been trying already, and also be emotionally connected to it and enjoy it, how would that feel? Now, this may not be your answer. How do you know? If you do that and you go, okay, if I did all these things, but also enjoyed the process, how would that feel? And you're like, I don't know. I would still feel like I'm not getting, right? Then what you really need is probably a freaking win, right? You need to actually see some numbers move. You need to actually see some financial momentum and see the numbers like do something, right? Do something good. Then you can start getting emotionally connected. Now, if you say that, if I do these things and I am emotionally connected as well, how does that feel? You go, oh my gosh, that'd be so much better. Yes, that would be so much better. All right. Emotional momentum is what you need. And it might be that you've noticed that you've been doing all of the mindset work, that you've been making sure that you had fun in your life, that you enjoyed life, right? And you've been taking care of your physical body, you've been enjoying things, right? But you haven't actually created a cash flow plan. You don't actually have any organization around your finances, right? So stop and think, if I got that financial momentum where I actually like created a plan and put my money somewhere where it actually accomplished something and I got a financial win, how would that feel? And then you go, oh, that would be amazing. That would be so, oh my gosh, if I got that debt paid off, that would be fantastic, right? You start to realize the one that makes you go, no, that would be so good, right? The one that gives you butterflies. That's the kind of momentum that you need. Does that make sense? Sometimes we need more than one. That's okay too, right? But most of the time, if you come into this thinking, I just need my mindset better, chances are you've been focusing so much on mindset that you haven't thought about actual money and strategy for money, right? Or like I did, you're so focused on penny pinching and on every single penny and on your tight little budget that you haven't let yourself enjoy the process. And because you haven't let yourself enjoy the process, then it's not sustainable. And I talked about this yesterday, but this emotional momentum is also where issues with partners come in. Hey, Amanda. This is also where issues with partners come in. If you have been trying all of the financial strategies and you've been using cash and you've been budgeting and you've been, you're super organized, you've got all of the other things, but you and your spouse are not on the same page, you're not going to get any emotional momentum. And even though you might be accomplishing things in the other areas, it's going to feel awful. And so this is where you discover what I really need is to create some emotional momentum in this area, right? And this is what we're going to talk about tomorrow. So step one is what we went through. There's 4 types of momentum. Financial, where you're actually seeing the numbers move, right? Seeing the dollars go where they need to go. Emotional, where you're actually like enjoying the process and you feel good about it. Mental, which is where you kind of get your mind right and get organized and don't have so much like chaos. and physical, where you could actually do some physical practices with money, like paying with cash, cutting up credit cards, or even taking care of your physical body so that everything else feels better, right? Those are the 4 types of momentum. Then look at all of the strategies that you've tried in the past that have not worked and see what category they fit into, and then identify what's missing. And that's not always the answer, but once you identify what's missing, start imagining, how would it feel if I had that? How would it feel if I had emotional momentum? How would it feel if I had financial momentum and actually got some wins with my money? How would it feel if it wasn't so cluttered in my brain? How would it feel if I just paid cash for things instead of just swiping my card all the time? How would that physical change feel? And if that feels good, that's the kind of momentum that you need. Does that make sense? So I want you guys to really, really explore that tonight. What we're going to do tomorrow is we're going to take the thing that's been keeping you stuck. We're going to frame it into the type of momentum that you need, and we're going to create an action step. I'm so stoked. I'm excited because I know that when you figure out what your action step is, everything after that starts to make sense to you, right? It starts to make sense and it starts to feel good because you feel like you're actually gaining momentum, right? I love these, but they actually make my mouth drier, which is totally not helpful. So that being said, we talked yesterday about how there is a level of awareness that really needs to be created around your money before you can kind of figure out what it is that's keeping you stuck. And so keep that in mind, that if you're not really sure what's keeping you stuck, if you're not really sure what kind of momentum that you need, there's a good chance that you're kind of missing that awareness piece. The other piece that you also need is you need to know what you want to accomplish. Because if you don't know what you're trying to get to, what goals you're trying to get to, then figuring out what kind of momentum you need and what steps to take, that's really hard too. So make sure that you're thinking about that. Okay, we're not going to talk about this. We're not going to talk about it in this workshop. Now, that being said, I mentioned yesterday my group program. And so I want to tell you guys that this is happening soon. My group program is launching in less than 2 weeks. We are starting the week of May 31st. The week of May 31st, the group program is starting. It's a 6-week program and it's a beta, which means it's the first time I've run this program in this format. What I've done is I've taken all of the things that I've done with my one-on-one clients over the last year, all of the work that I've done with them, all of the exercises that I've taken them through, all of the things that I've seen work time and time and time again. And I have taken those and shifted them into a group format, and I could not be more excited. The name of this program is called Ignition to Financial Jumpstart. We're going to ignite your finances. We're going to take you through that process of awareness. We're going to take you through the process of understanding your goals, how to optimize what's going on with your money, how to really, really get momentum, how to trust yourself with money and be confident making these decisions moving forward. I am so freaking excited for this program. And so if that is where we're going to get these steps that kind of come before, these steps that kind of come after. We're going to really expand on this. We're going to go super deep, and you're going to get access to me directly to be able to make sure that you're picking the steps that are actually right for your situation. Because here in the workshop, I can't give everybody all the specifics of, what's your situation and go deep into it, right? But in the group program, I can. And so I want you guys to know that's available. If you want more details about that, you can go ahead and send me a message. More details will come out soon. But I love you guys so much. So your homework for today, your homework for part 2 is to post in the group with the hashtag massive momentum with what type of momentum you think you need based on the exercise that we did and what you think about that, how you feel about it. How did it make you feel when you thought about it? Okay, so what type of momentum do you think you need? How do you feel about it? And get super excited for day 3, because day 3 is when we bring everything together. Day 3 is when we make it happen, so you actually have an action plan on what your next steps need to be. And I'm telling you, some of your next steps might be, I need help. And that's okay. That's what I'm here for, right? All right. Well, I love you guys. Have a freaking-tastic Wednesday. If you have questions, drop them below in the comments and let me know. I'm happy to clarify anything. But the big thing here is just uncovering what type of momentum you're still missing in your journey so that we can start connecting the dots and giving you a plan moving forward. All right. Love you guys. Have a fantastic Wednesday, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.